Imagine a world where over 2 billion people are not welcome in certain countries simply because of their faith. That's the reality for Muslims in 2024. With Islam growing faster than any other religion and set to become the world's largest by 2050, let's explore the top 10 countries where Muslims face the most challenges. Buckle up, because this journey might surprise you. Number 10, Japan, a country famous for its technology and delicious sushi. With 125 million population, you'd think there'd be room for everyone, right? Well, for the 230,000 Muslims living there, now Japan is not exactly unfriendly to Muslims. It's more like they're not sure what to make of them. Imagine being one of the very few Muslims in your school or workplace. People might look at you funny or ask weird questions, not because they're mean, but because they just don't know much about Islam. Most Muslims in Japan came from other countries like Indonesia or Pakistan. They're trying to fit in while keeping their faith. It's like being the new kid in class, but all the time. That's why Japan is number 10 on our list, not because it's hostile, but because sometimes being misunderstood can be just as tough. Number 9, Angola. This country has about 35.5 million people population, but only about 195,000 are Muslims. That's like having one Muslim person in a group of 100 Angolans. Now, Angola isn't openly mean to Muslims, but it's not exactly rolling out the welcome mat either. Imagine being part of such a small group. It can feel lonely and sometimes a bit scary. You might face some unfair treatment now and then, not because people hate you, but because they don't understand your way of life. Muslims in Angola often have to work extra hard to show they're just regular folks who want to live in peace. It's like constantly having to prove yourself, even when you've done nothing wrong. That's why Angola takes the 9th spot on our list. Number 8, Bhutan, a tiny country nestled in the mountains, Bhutan. With only about 780,000 people, it's like a small town compared to other countries. But for the 5,000 to 8,000 Muslims living there, it can feel even smaller. Bhutan is famous for measuring happiness instead of money. But for Muslims, finding happiness here can be tricky. The country is mostly Buddhist, and it's not easy to practice other religions openly. It's not that Bhutan is mean to Muslims, but it's like being the only jazz fan at a rock concert. You just don't quite fit in. Muslims in Bhutan often have to keep their faith quiet. Imagine not being able to talk about a big part of who you are. It's like having a secret you can't share. That's why Bhutan is number 8 on our list, a reminder that sometimes, the smallest places can have the biggest challenges. Number 7, North Korea, with about 26 million population, you'd think there'd be room for everyone, right? Well, not quite. In this country, it's hard to be religious, period. But for the tiny group of Muslims, we're talking maybe 3,000 people, it's like being a needle in a haystack. The government keeps such a tight grip on everything that we don't even know for sure how Muslims are treated. Imagine living in a place where you can't openly practice your faith, where every prayer might be a risk. That's why North Korea lands at number 7 on our list. It's not just Muslims who struggle here, it's anyone who believes in something other than what the government tells them to. Number 6, Slovakia. This small European country has about 5.5 million people, but only around 5,000 of them are Muslims. That's like having just one Muslim person in a crowd of over 1,000 people. In 2016, Slovakia made a law saying a religion needs 50,000 members to be officially recognized. For the tiny Muslim community, that's like asking a mouse to lift an elephant, nearly impossible. This means Muslims face extra challenges in practicing their faith. Some politicians in Slovakia have said unkind things about Muslims, making them feel unwelcome. Imagine being in a classroom where the teacher keeps saying your answers are wrong, even when they're right. That's how many Muslims in Slovakia feel, always on the outside, always misunderstood. Slovakia tops our list because it shows how even in modern, democratic countries, small groups can face big hurdles. It's a reminder that welcome mats come in all sizes, and sometimes, they're harder to find than we might think. Number 5, Sri Lanka, with 21.8 million people, including 1.9 million Muslims, you'd think it would be a peaceful paradise. But sometimes, paradise has problems too. In recent years, Sri Lanka has seen some tough times for Muslims. There were violent attacks in 2014 and 2018, and things got even worse after some bombs went off on Easter Sunday in 2019. Suddenly, many people started looking at all Muslims with suspicion. Imagine going to school or work, and everyone's whispering about you, thinking you might be dangerous just because of your faith. That's what many Muslims in Sri Lanka face. The government even made some rules, like banning face coverings, that made life harder for Muslims. It's like being punished for something you didn't do. That's why Sri Lanka is number 5 on our list. Number 4, Central African Republic. This country has about 5.5 million people, and around 750,000 of them are Muslims. Sounds okay, right? Well, not exactly. Imagine your neighborhood suddenly turning into a war zone. That's what happened in CAR. There was a big fight between two groups, one mostly Muslim, the other mostly Christian. It got so bad that many Muslims had to leave their homes and run away. It's like a game of tag gone horribly wrong, or being it means you might lose everything. Muslims in CR often live in fear, not knowing if they'll be safe from one day to the next. That's why Central African Republic is number 4 on our list, a sad example of how conflicts can tear communities apart. Number 3, India now. Let's visit a huge country with a population of 1.45 billion people. It's like a giant colorful tapestry, with all sorts of cultures and religions woven together. But for the 220 million Muslims living there, sometimes the colors don't blend so well. India has seen some scary times for Muslims. There have been big fights, like in Gujarat in 2002 and in Delhi in 2020, where many Muslims got hurt. Then there are new laws that some people think are unfair to Muslims, making them feel like they don't belong in their own country. It's like being part of a big family but feeling like the black sheep, always a bit different, sometimes not as loved. It shows us that even in a diverse country, some groups can feel left out or picked on. Number 2, Myanmar. Picture a beautiful country in Southeast Asia, home to 54 million people. Now, imagine being part of the 1.14 million Muslims there, constantly looking over your shoulder. That's Myanmar for you. In 2017, something terrible happened. The military decided they didn't want the Rohingya Muslims around anymore. It was like a nightmare come to life. Over 700,000 people had to run away to Bangladesh, leaving everything behind. Today, those who stayed still live in fear. It's like being unwanted in your own home. Number 1, China, the most populated country in the world with over 1.41 billion people. You'd think with so many people, everyone would fit in just fine. But for the 25 million Muslims there, especially the Uyghurs, life can be really tough. Imagine living in a place where your name, your clothes, or even your beard could get you in trouble. In some parts of China, especially a region called Xinjiang, Muslims face serious problems. There are reports of people being sent to special camps, watched all the time, and not allowed to practice their religion freely. It's like being trapped in a giant fishbowl where everyone can see you, but you can't swim freely. That's why China is number 6 on our list. It's a reminder that even in big countries, small groups can face big challenges. As we wrap up our journey through these 10 countries, remember that behind every statistic is a real person with hopes, dreams, and fears. In a world of over 2 billion Muslims, these stories are just a small part of a much bigger picture. Whether it's Myanmar's 1.14 million Muslims facing exile, Japan's 230,000 feeling misunderstood, or Slovakia's 5,000 struggling for recognition, each situation is unique. But they all share one thing: the human desire to belong, to be accepted, and to live in peace. As we look to the future, with Islam projected to be the world's largest religion by 2050, these challenges remind us of the work still needed to create a world where everyone feels welcome, regardless of their faith. So, next time you meet someone different from you, remember these stories. A simple smile or kind word could make all the difference. After all, isn't that what being human is all about?